welcome to this week's Last Resort Relationship Podcast Q&A. Hey Max, how you doing?
Hi Sam, how are you?
I'm good.
So what question do we have today? I'm very excited.
Well, this week we have a question all the way from Spain, from Javier, who's 36. He's been with his girlfriend 7 years and things have progressively been getting bad between us. I'll just read what he wrote, it's very easier. We've been having a lot of arguments, so much so that I'm not feeling attracted to her anymore, and consequently we're no longer intimate. I really feel at a loss, and I'm thinking of ending the relationship, although we were good when it was great. I'm not sure how to get it back. I don't even feel like going home most days. Lockdown has been particularly hard. It's only highlighted this to me even more. And I think, lockdown's been a funny one, hasn't it? It's put a lot of relationships into spotlight, really, hasn't it? If there's issues, they're going to come out in this time.
Yeah, it's a time. I say it like there's a lot of opportunity because you're almost stuck with your partner without all the distractions you usually have in your life, and not all the doings and going out and doing this and doing that. So I'm so glad that Javier sent us this question.
Yeah, me too.
As it's not the right time really to make a decision whether a relationship is right or not. And at least before you do that, there is some work on oneself, some inner work and reflection to do.
It's funny, isn't it? Because all these experts that we talk to, and everyone can check out the podcasts, there seems to be this common theme. They're from all these different backgrounds and thinkings and schoolings and so on. And self-care, looking at your inner self, seems to be the common theme, and really where everyone needs to start, especially when he's thinking about ending it. Oh, that's it, it's over. I can't do this anymore. And there seems to be...
Also,
go on, sorry.
No, in an intimate relationship, I mean, it's a very close, very personal relationship, and we tend to ask everybody else outside the relationship to give us advice.
Yeah.
When I say everybody else, I mean, our mums, our dads, our friends, our colleagues at work, and maybe the first person you really need to ask questions to is yourself.
Yeah. And how you're perceiving your relationship, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's help Javier. Let's give him some good advice. Yeah.
I mean, speaking to your partner, is like, how is she communicating with him? I think would be the first thing. How is she talking to him? How is he interpreting that? Where we talk about communication a lot, don't we, in our podcasts and in our posts and all the exercises. There seems to be a lot of talking with your partner going on. Yeah,
and one way, remember in Anahata's podcast, Anahata from India, which was an excellent episode on how we need sexually empowered men in this world, or we need masculinity, we need to bring it back home. And he was explaining how, the male and female brain are very different, like we know, but a man needs to feel listened to. He needs to feel that his partner's not bombarding him with loads of questions and blaming him for things. He needs actually time, and he's much slower in his way of verbal communication. And if a woman doesn't understand this in a relationship, it can push the man away, and the man can feel less attracted.
Yeah, especially when he's saying he's not feeling like he wants to go home, which is really sad, isn't it? I guess the silver lining here is when it was good, it was great. And thinking about what happens when it's great, what is the scenario, I guess. But you're right, women tend not to understand really, and vice versa, what a man needs and what a woman needs, especially, time and space, and what space you give each other is sometimes very different between a man and a woman, isn't it? Especially when Anahata explains it.
Do you remember Anahata was giving this example of the dream situation where the man has been away all day hunting or gathering or, at work.
Caveman.
Working hard. And he just can't wait to get home. He can't wait to get home and chat with his wife and do things for her and his family. But usually it's not the case. The man comes home from work and is really tired and actually needs some space and doesn't know how to express this and ends up offending the woman that's been waiting. I know this is a cliche example, but I think you'll get it.
Yeah.
And kind of offends the woman. You've heard of the caveman, haven't you, Sam? How the man needs to go into his cave.
Yeah.
And a man is also very single focused compared to women.
Yeah.
We can do a lot at once. We can feel a lot at once. We can focus on one thing and listen to another thing. This is not necessarily the case for men. So they need that simplicity, that slowness. So the piece of advice for this communication topic, I would say for Javier to think about this. Is he getting enough space?
Yeah.
Is he being listened to? Is he able to express his needs? And if not, I would advise him to have a chat with his partner. And
definitely.
Some couples I know, they make little arrangements like, okay, so 15 minutes after I get home, I need just to leave me alone. Don't talk, don't say a word. And then after 15 minutes, I'm back.
Yeah. Sometimes it's that practicality, isn't it? Then everyone knows what they stand. The girlfriend's not going to expect to come home or her come home and speak to him immediately. He gets that respite that they need, as does she, in a way. And they're like, okay. And then it's that dedication of time, isn't it? Because if you do that, I think you're kind of also saying, I just need a moment, but I'm going to give you time. I'm just going to give you time then. And when I give you that time, you're going to get me 100%, because women need to be held, don't they? They need to be, their space needs to be held, to be listened to be heard, basically. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's also very important. I'm glad you mentioned that, Sam, that also Javier asks his partner, what do you need? Is there anything I can do? This creates, what we've been talking about, the law of attraction in a relationship, the mirror neurons, all of this is going to affect both of them so that they also can feel more attracted to one another and bring back that attraction into the relationship.
More importantly, because it'll all feed in, won't it? It'll all come back. In terms of like self-care or inner work, what do you think would be the best thing for him to do that he could do today?
Well, I would say, so this also Anahata touched upon. So usually it happens that we attract a partner who has issues in an area of life where we also have some issues. The cause can be different, but sometimes we seem to attract that into our lives. So I would, for Javier, I would say practice, learn and practice a state of mind which enables him to sit down, center into himself, reach his inner guidance. We all have an inner guru, don't we?
Yeah, I love Anahata saying that.
We just need to know how to
access it,
pull out the information, and then ask, try and find a creative solution of what can he do? What is the first step from all of these things we have spoken about? We have an exercise that Anahata gave our listeners very kindly, and that is a meditation where he teaches you exactly that, to detach from all your senses and go within. Yeah. And, ask some questions.
Ask questions, but also get... Yeah, and it helps. I've done it quite a few times actually after we spoke to him, and the clarity, it's quite amazing. It really helps me get that clarity that I need on situations or something that's really troubling me, just to kind of let it all go, and then to kind of try and figure out. And I think once you understand what your issue is, in a way, for want of a better word, what your issue is, it's a lot easier to kind of solve it in a way. Because it's a lot clearer what it is. We get caught up in day to day. He's caught up in the relationship. There might be frustration, they're arguing, and that just causes interference, doesn't it, to really what the root problem is. So doing this exercise, doing this meditation will really help him.
Yes. And while he is there doing this meditation, he can go through these questions. How are we communicating? Do I feel I am being listened to? What are my needs? Do I have a desperate longing that I'm not getting, and therefore I'm not happy and I can't be attracted? How am I going to become attracted to my partner again physically? And that means, how am I going to please her physically to make me feel attracted to her? Also, another question he can ask himself is, what role do I have in this relationship, and am I happy with this role?
That's a really good point, actually. How does he see himself in this role? Is she quite dominant? Is he quite dominant? You know, there's so many different...
What roles do we have, Sam, because you're in a relationship?
I need to... the mother, so I guess the carer, the victim, you know, the dominant, the boss. I was trying to think. I don't know.
The joker,
the one that runs away from issues.
The
you know,
kid, the child.
The child. That's probably a very relevant one. Not for me. The father. I think that's it's interesting, isn't it? Because once you understand that, then you kind of go, oh my God, I've never realised that was the case. That's really helpful, actually, for Javier.
And so I think we're going to bring this up on The Last Resort on our podcast episode, as this is a very interesting topic, how we tend to get stuck in one role. And this role usually has to do with our personality, our characteristic, our upbringing, the polarities between us and our partner, how we complement each other. But we usually get stuck in one role and we stay there. And that can never satisfy any of the partners 100%, because we need a variation. And if you think about, so say the female partner is very motherly, right? Very responsible, very nurturing, always makes sure all the food is ready, takes care of the kids, but she doesn't ever let her wild woman out, for example, or playful child. She never plays, she never dances, or she never does art, or she never goes out with friends and just relaxes and lets loose. So she's never going to be 100% satisfied, because she's going to feel stuck in the relationship, stuck herself in one role. So when you're aware of this, you can choose which roles you want to, vary between.
Do you think also, though, if he does all this work and he realizes that maybe she's motherly slightly, I don't know, he can kind of encourage her to kind of like go out with encourage her, or recognize the fact, like, hey, you always take responsibility for doing stuff. Why don't you let me do it for a change, and then you sit down, or you go out or do something? I think that might help as well, because it's that thing, isn't it? Once you get past that, the loggerhead stuff, you start communicating, then little by little you can kind of get back to this great relationship that they had, possibly. Anyway,
great.
I hope
I really enjoy answering these questions, Sam, because it's almost like I learn every time myself.
It's really good, and it's really nice to help people. And on that note, if anyone watching has got any questions, burning questions they want to ask, please feel free to drop a note into the comments, or go on to Facebook group The Last Resort Relationship Podcast and send us a direct DM, and we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Or you can send us an email.
Or an email.
The Last Resort email address, which will now appear on the screen.
The Last Resort Relationship, The Last Resort Relationships at gmail.com.